guys, welcome back to Release the Craftin, and this is Priscilla here, doing another episode of Storycraft. And you guys, have I got an episode for you. As you guys know, we are still doing our Tales of the Paranormal series, getting ready, for Halloween or Samhain, depending on who you are and where you are and what you celebrate. And I have this story that I think is going to be especially cool because it involves the origin of one of our Halloween staples. And also, as I'm rolling through this month, I am getting increasingly excited because next month we're doing Povember, so I'm going to tell you guys a bunch of Poe stories during this segment while I take a little bit of time off. But yeah, you guys, I'm excited. This is going to be a great story. We're telling some spooky stories, getting ready for Halloween. I'm also very excited for the big October spooky episode that is still TBD as far as the name of it goes. But I think you guys are going to really love it. It's coming along very nicely, and I'm looking very forward to it. But let's get into the story. I am not going to be reading a story this time. I feel well enough to tell you the story that I have been wanting to tell you for a while, especially in the lead up to this series and this month. I was looking forward to telling the story for a very long time. And so today I am telling you guys the story of Stingy Jack. And you may already know the story, or you may have heard a different version. There's a couple of different versions. I'm not really going to go into all the different versions, because as per usual, I'm telling you my version of the story, which is sort of an amalgamation of many different versions. But Stingy Jack comes to us from Ireland, so I've been told. There's some debate on that too, but that's where I could see it. From what I could see, the oldest version was like from the year 800 in Ireland. So yeah, this story's been around for quite a while and actually has its roots in the pagan holiday of Samhain. It sort of comes up around that time, has a lot of relations to that, and we'll see why as I get into it. But here we go. We're jumping into it. This story begins in the way, way long ago, of course, and it takes place in a quiet little cozy town that is home to a blacksmith whose name is just Jack. He's not quite Stingy Jack yet. Nobody calls him that. At least not to his face, because all the villagers know that he is literally the most stingiest man alive, if not just in their village, like in the world. Jack is so stingy that he will not share a dollar or a dime or a thought or his time. This man will share nothing with nobody ever. There is not a single ounce of goodness in his heart, and everybody knows it, and yet they still gotta mess with this guy because he is the only blacksmith in the town. It's a one blacksmith town. That's the guy you gotta go to, and he gets everyone for every nickel and penny they're worth. He's generally unpleasant to be around. He's just an old, stingy, bitter guy. In fact, they joke in the city about how stingy and old and grumpy and all the things he is. They talk about how bitter he is. In fact, they say that he is so bitter that he is just as bitter, how many more times can I say bitter, as the turnips that he likes to eat. This is important and will be relevant later, but Jack loves turnips and himself and being a stingy old cod. So, it goes on one of these days where Jack is doing his regular business. He has his regular day. He closes down his blacksmithy, his forge, and he decides to go into town to the pub to have a drink for the evening. And while he is walking along the road, he comes across a corpse, a gross, disgusting, moldy, crusty, yucky corpse, just laying there on the side of the road, and nobody seems to have noticed or paid attention or cared about it. But Jack sees it. He thinks it's kind of a funny looking thing, gives it a little nudge with the toe of his boot, and to his surprise, the corpse comes back to life. But it's not actually the corpse, or it is the corpse, but it's not the original owner of the corpse. Possessing the corpse is the devil, because you see, you guys, the devil heard about Stingy Jack. He heard about how awful and crass and cranky and unpleasant this man was, and he personally wanted to come collect Jack for himself. He was like, I am so excited. This guy sucks. Everyone talks about how much he sucks. I have to see this man in person so that I can drag him to hell myself. So the devil possesses this corpse and introduces himself to Jack as the devil, tells him he's there to claim his soul personally, and Jack is delighted at this news, and he tells the devil that is amazing. I am so honored, and to celebrate this occasion, we should go to the pub and have a drink. And the devil says, you know what? Why not? I don't got anything else to do. So the devil and Jack go to the local pub, and they have a couple drinks. And then they have a couple more. And they continue to have drinks well into the late hours of the evening, getting the highest tab the barkeep has ever seen before. And at the end of this, when they're winding down for the night, Jack tells the devil, well, look, man, since you are taking my soul to hell, I think the least you can do is pay for all these drinks. And the devil's like, I guess. That makes sense. It's very logical, very reasonable. I can pay for the drinks. And Jack goes, it's just a shame, because if I really believed you were the devil, well, I mean, you wouldn't even have to pay with real money. And the devil goes, what do you mean? You don't believe I'm the real devil? I'm in a corpse right now. Of course I'm the devil. And Jack goes, no, that could be anybody. That could be literally you could be any old demon. How do I know you're the devil? Only the devil can do real magic. Not like that parlor tricks that demons do. Real magic. The devil can turn himself into the purest of metals. The devil can turn into gold. And the devil's like, of course I can turn into gold. I'm the literal devil. And Jack's like, well, prove it. Turn into gold. Turn into the gold coin I'll use to pay for the drinks. And the devil's like, okay, bet. So that's what he does. The devil turns into a gold coin. Jack picks up the coin, puts it in his pocket. You know what else is in his pocket? A cross. And because there's a cross in his pocket, the devil can't escape. The devil is now trapped in his pocket, and Jack leaves the pub. I don't know if he paid for those drinks. The story never says. I'm going to assume he said, put it on that guy's tab. And the bartender was like, where did that guy go? And he was like, to the bathroom. He'll be back. And then Jack just dipped and left it that way. And, we never come back to an answer for that. So it is what it is. But the devil is now stuck in Jack's pocket. And Jack has a wonderful time taking the most hoppiest, skippiest, riotous way home. To the point where he is just jangling the devil around in his pocket with that cross. So the devil is very unhappy. He keeps getting burned by the cross, but he can't get out of the pocket because he's trapped. And so he starts telling Jack, please let me out of here. Be reasonable, man. Like, this is crazy. You can't keep the devil in your pocket. And the devil, and not the devil, Jack says, well, I can, and I will, unless, my friend, you agree to leave me be for 10 more years before you take my soul. And the devil, not seeing any way out of this situation, says, fine, I will leave you for 10 more years, and then I will come collect you. And Jack says, then it's a deal, and he removes the cross, and the devil is able to leave his pocket and return to hell. So during this 10-year break, Jack gets even stingier and meaner and ruder than he's ever been before. To the point where most of the people in the village are like, you know what, I'll actually just go to the next town if I need some blacksmithing done because this guy sucks. He's the worst. And, Jack carries on in his way, having a grand old merry time, being just the absolute literal worst, just being a garbage person, and, not being generous, even in the slightest, for 10 solid years. And it comes down to where he's almost out of time. He's at the end of his 10-year stingy spree, and he figures now's a good time to wrap up his shenanigans by doing some good before he's gone. So now he's starting to look for a way to help some people out and maybe get in some good deeds before he gets dragged down to hell. So this way, maybe his ledger will balance out, and maybe heaven will be like, yeah, come on up here since you kind of did some nice stuff before you left. So Jack starts looking for opportunities, but unfortunately, the people in the town are avoiding him because he's so unpleasant to be around, and he can't find any. Until one night, on the way home from the pub, he sees this, sad, discarded, downtrodden-looking man sitting in the same gutter that he happened to find the corpse in before, that same little ditch on the side of the road. It's a beggar now. There's an old beggar there, and he looks really beat down. He looks exhausted. The man can barely stand. He's so hungry, starving, and Jack says, tell you what, my friend, I'll take you home with me. So Jack helps this man up, carries him home on his back, offers him his favorite chair, and a hot meal. So after eating, the beggar is so grateful, and he tells him that many people had passed him by and didn't even pay him a second glance. They wouldn't even give him, the time of day. They wouldn't give him any directions. They wouldn't even acknowledge his presence. So the people in that town also kind of suck because they just ignored that beggar on the road. But the only person who stopped and even cared about that man was Jack. And he tells Jack, I'll have you know, I am actually a very magical being myself, and in return for your kindness, I'll grant you 3 wishes. And Jack is like, 3 wishes, you say? Say less. I know exactly what I want. And so the beggar's like, okay, go ahead. Tell me what you would like. What can I do for you in return for your kindness? And he says, well, I have a hammer, and it is my favorite hammer. I use it all the time. I use it to do my work every day. I love this hammer so much. I don't know what I would do without it. And people are always asking me to use my hammer, either for work or for themselves. They just want to borrow it because nobody else in this town has tools. And the man is like, okay, all right, I hear you. So you want another hammer so that you can loan one out and keep your favorite hammer to yourself. And Jack goes, no. No, stupid, no. No. Why would I want 2 hammers? I only need the one. What I want is that anytime someone other than myself touches my hammer, their hand will be fastened to it, and it will beat them until I say for it to stop. And the man goes, I'm sorry, you want a hammer that beats people senseless until you say stop it? And he says, yes, I want you to do that to my favorite hammer. And so now the beggar's like, are you sure you don't want something else? Something generous in return for your kindness? And Jack says, no, I want my hammer to beat people. And the man says, okay. So he reluctantly grants him his first wish. And then Jack says, for my second wish, I have a chair. The chair you're sitting in fact. That is my favorite chair. And here the old beggar is like, oh no. Do you need a second chair? And Jack says, no. What I want is for people to stop sitting in my favorite chair uninvited. So if they sit in this chair without my permission, I want the chair to beat them senseless. And man goes, another gift where it beats someone senseless. Are you sure that's what I think it would be so nice to have 2 chairs in here. And Jack says, no, that's what I want. I want my chair to beat people senseless if they sit in it without my permission. So the old man stands up and then grants his second wish. Again, begrudgingly, almost unwillingly, but he does it. And he goes, okay, well, I'm afraid to ask, what's your third wish? And Jack says, you see that apple tree out there in my backyard? People steal my apples all the time, and then I get no apples. And on this one, you guys, I'm kind of with Jack. Like, keep your hands off fruit trees that aren't yours. It's rude. Just ask. But Jack says, anytime someone grabs an apple without my express permission, I want. And the man says, let me guess. You want it to beat them senseless. And he says, that's exactly what I want. Now you're finally getting it. You're finally understanding what we're here to do. So the old beggar man says, all right, I will make it so that whoever touches your tree gets beaten for not asking you first. And Jack goes, fantastic. That's exactly what I want. I can't imagine anything else I want more than that. And I'll be able to rest peacefully now that I know that's in place. And the beggar says, great. And Jack says, oh, so do you want to stay the night? And the man says, no, actually, I'm going to be on my way. I'm actually going to leave right now. And then he runs out the door, and we never hear from this beggar again. Maybe. But like an intelligent person, the beggar leaves. Jack goes to bed peacefully, knowing that he has all of his favorite things on lock. So it comes finally for the time for Jack's soul to be collected by the devil. And the devil remembered what happens the last time, 10 years ago. So he decides, you know what, I really want to fuck with Jack. I honestly, I don't want to go back out there and deal with that shit. So he sends a little minor demon baby to go get him. It's not an actual baby, but it's a little demon guy to go get Jack instead. So the minor demon goes to come collect Jack, and he tells Jack, I'm here to get you in service of our Lord the Devil. And he says, oh, you're right. My 10 years are up. I definitely need to go. I need to keep my word. And the minor demon says, yes, of course you do. So come with me. And Jack goes, okay, yeah, I'm on my way. But you know what? Since this is my last day and I'm going to meet the devil again in person, I think for my first time in hell, I should be well dressed. everyone is well dressed in their best clothes for their funeral, right? And the minor demon says, well, yeah, that is a custom you guys do, so I see what you're saying. And he says, okay, well, why don't you have a seat in that chair right there while I go put my Sunday best on? And when I get it all dressed, we'll go down to hell. And the demon says, okay, great. So the demon has a little seat in the chair, and Jack goes off into the other room to get dressed, and what he hears in the other room is the screaming, because again, even though Jack invited him to sit in the chair, he did not have his express permission to. And the chair is beating the demon senseless. It is throwing him to and fro, and backwards, and forwards, and all over the place. The demon is getting the life beat out of him by this chair. It's giving him a wallop of a lifetime. So when Stingy Jack comes back, he is, in fact, dressed in his Sunday best. And he says, oh, what's the matter? And the minor demon says, your chair, it keeps hurting me, and I can't get out of it. And Jack says, oh, that's a shame. I would let you out of the chair, but you're here to collect my soul, and that's just really inconvenient. But if you agreed to let me live for another year, I'll let you out. And the demon, this little baby demon, is like screaming for mercy. He's like, of course, please, anything, just make this beating stop. So Jack says, okay, chair, let him go. And the chair does, in fact, let the little minor demon go, and the minor demon scurries off back to hell, leaving Jack alone for another year. A year goes by, and the devil's like, hey, what happened? We didn't get Jack? Like, how did that not work out? And the minor demon tells him, no, he hurt me so bad, I had to agree to give him another year, so I didn't get him yet. And the devil's like, that's ridiculous. So this time, he sends a bigger, badder demon to go collect Jack, because he's like, clearly, you were no match for this man, and he's clever, but he's not scary. So, he sends a bigger, badder, buffer demon, let's say, because this is my story now. And this bigger, badder buffer demon goes to collect Jack, and this time Jack's like, oh yeah, I'm totally ready to go. Oh, but I gotta fix my shoe. It's gonna be a walk down to hell, and I this heel keeps coming loose. So why don't you just hand me my hammer and I'll fix up the shoe. So the demon's like, all right, whatever, grabs the hammer and goes to pass it to Jack, but as soon as his fingers touch it, the hammer sticks fast to his hands and then starts to beat him over the head in a classic move of why are you hitting yourself? And Jack watches with delight, starts laughing uproariously as this demon is being beat over and over and over and over again with the hammer. And Jack waits until the demon starts to beg for mercy and release. So the demon says, please end this abuse. And Jack says, okay, I'll end it if you leave me be for 5 more years. And the demon is like, fine, whatever. Please make this stop. This is ridiculous. So Jack says, hammer, let him go. And the hammer lets him go. And the demon flees off back to hell. But this time, this demon goes directly to the devil and says, this man beat me senselessly with a hammer and only would let me go if I agreed to leave him alone for 5 more years. So the devil's like, okay, this is why I can't just trust anyone to do anything. And sometimes, if you gotta get the job done, you gotta do it yourself. So the devil goes himself. He does not wait 5 years. He goes immediately to go get Jack. And he says, Jack, this is ridiculous. I do not care if you need to get dressed. I do not care if your shoes are correct. We are going to hell right now. You keep extending this thing like you have an option, and you don't. We're going back now. And Jack goes, okay, devil, I know when I've been bested, you're right, but I am an old man now. You can agree, of course. And the devil says, yes, of course, I can see that you're an old man, I know. And he says, and it is a bit of a walk to hell, right? And the devil says, yes, it is a journey. And he says, well, I would feel a lot better if I had some food for the trip. So if you could just go over to that apple tree and grab one of those apples down for me, I'll take this turnip and keep it in my pocket, and I'll have a little meal to keep my energy up while on the journey. And the devil thinks about it, and he looks at the apple tree and he says, well, what's the worst that can happen? It's just a tree, and I do want this man to go to hell. So if he needs a little Lunchable to get on the way there, then that's what we're going to do. So the devil walks across the yard. He goes up to the tree. He grabs an apple from the branch. And as soon as he touches the apple, the branches from the tree reach down, snatch him up, and begin to whip him violently in the tree, and he cannot escape. So the devil starts to scream at Jack to release him. Jack takes a bite of one of his turnips, putting the other one in his pocket, and chuckles to himself as he walks back inside. So Jack goes back in his house. He has a lovely meal. He goes to sleep, and he wakes up perfectly refreshed in the morning. Meanwhile, the devil has been screaming in his apple tree the entire night because he's being beaten and whipped by the branches of the tree. So when Jack goes back outside, he says, well, did you have some time to think about it? And the devil is like, you let me out right now. Right now, Jack. This is not funny. This is not well. You don't even know what you're messing with. I demand that you release me at once. Probably in between the crying and the screaming, because the devil was crying and screaming. This tree was beating him so badly. So Jack says, I will let you out of the tree if you leave me be. And the devil says, fine. So Jack says, tree, let him go. And the devil scampers off back to hell with his little tail between his legs. And the devil gets back to hell, and he comes just in time to meet up with Death, who is delivering another batch of souls. And he tells Death the entire story. He's like, you will not believe this man. They told me he was rotten, but he is the worst. And you know what else? You know what else, Death? He hurt me. He really hurt me. And Death is like impartial and very nonplussed, and is like, first of all, it's my job to bring souls down here. So you should have called me in the first place. Second of all, I will go get this man. So the devil goes to get Jack, and Jack tries his tricks again. He offers him a seat. He offers him an apple from the tree. He tells him, can you just hand me my hammer? And the devil, unbothered king, is like, no, we're not doing any of that. I don't care what you have to do. I don't care what your plans are. I don't need anything, and I don't want anything. You're coming with me right now. So Jack, realizing that Death itself is going to be completely unmoved by all of his tricks, agrees to come along. And Death takes Jack straight to heaven, which is where you're supposed to go first before you skip the line and go straight to hell. And when they get to heaven, Death presents him at the pearly gates to St. Peter, and Jack does a double take because he recognizes the face of St. Peter. St. Peter was the beggar that he had been kind to all those years ago, who gave him all the wishes. And St. Peter looks down from his little pulpit, I don't know, thing, and says, heck no, you cannot come in here because you had the opportunity to wish for good things, but your wishes were awful. You're irredeemable, and you are not getting into heaven. So Death says, all right, and Death takes him down to hell and then leaves him there. So when Jack walks up to the gates of hell, he tries to open them, but they don't move. They're locked. The gates of hell are locked. And so Jack knocks on the gates, and he's like, hey, I'm supposed to be here, let me in. And the devils on the other side, all those little demons, are like, heck no, we don't want you here. You're the worst. We heard what you did to all of our friends. You can't come in. And then Jack's like, well, let me talk to the devil because he wanted me here this whole time. And the devil is hiding underneath his bed until Jack leaves, like a true introvert would. He does not respond or even come up to the gate to tell Jack to piss off. He just says, I'm not coming out. Tell me when he's gone. So all the demons are like, nope, you can't come in. We're not letting you in. We shan't. We won't. We can't. And don't. And so you have to leave. And so they toss an ember from the pits of hell and tell him that's what he can have. That's what he can take with him. It is from the fiery pits of hell. He can have an ember to light his way. So Jack is like, okay, well, I can't pick it up with my fingers, can I? And they're like, not our problem. We don't care. La 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 la. We can't hear you. We're staying here in hell. Get screwed. Get gone. Goodbye. So Jack takes one of the turnips from his pocket. He carves it out into a little lantern, puts the ember from the fiery pits of hell inside of it, and uses that to light his way as he travels forever, stuck between heaven and hell, trapped on earth, a wandering spirit, never in one place or the other. And eventually, Jack and his lantern became Jack O the Lantern. And it's thought to be that this is the origin story for the Will-o'-the-Wisp, although there's a lot of different variants on the Will-o'-the-Wisp tale. But essentially, people would say that if you see lights in the darkness at night, leading you astray, or in the woods and things like that, that was actually Jack and his lantern trying to take your soul so that he could use it as a ticket into heaven or hell, just to end his eternal walk on earth. And so what people started doing after finding out that there is a literal dude out there just snatching up souls of people and leading them astray so that he can snatch their soul with his little tiny turnip lantern, they started carving their own jack-o'-lanterns out of turnips originally, eventually pumpkins, but they started carving out their own lanterns and setting them up in their windows to confuse souls and deter Jack and the other wandering souls that he managed to sort of lead astray on his journeys, because every soul Jack leads astray does not find their way into heaven. So that's why you get multiple will-o'-the-wisp, multiple little lights off in the distance. They're all the souls who also have their own little lanterns, who are also trying to find a way to get into heaven or to hell. And that's why people started setting out jack-o'-lanterns to light the way for the souls of the dead, but also to keep them from coming inside. And yeah, that is the origin story for the jack-o'-lantern, and it is the tale of Stingy Jack. Let me know what you guys think about that. I found this tale to be delightful. I actually love this story so much. I love that there's an origin story here, and that it's got its ties in such a witchy, spooky holiday, but also in some like mysterious phenomena. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate your faces, and I will catch you guys all in the next one. Till then, happy crafting. Bye.